What's up everyone, Darcblade here with my video review of Until Dawn. Developed by Supermassive Games and published by Sony Computer Entertainment, Until Dawn was released between August 25th and August 28th, 2015, depending on where you lived in the world. Until Dawn is a PlayStation 4 exclusive. The game bears similarities to previous Sony titles such as Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls. But Until Dawn is a horror game. With this in mind, can Until Dawn pull off the scares a good horror needs, or does it fall by the wayside? Until Dawn is a story-heavy game, and thus I want to avoid major spoilers in this section. There are very few moments that don't have dialogue. Even if you're just exploring, characters will converse with each other or even talk to themselves. Until Dawn's plot revolves around 8 friends who, while at a mountain lodge at Blackwood Pass, soon find out that things are more sinister than the simple party they were expecting. They soon discover they are not alone. From the get-go, every choice the player makes while playing as the 8 characters shapes a unique story, resulting in numerous endings. The game starts out with the prologue that shows the 8 friends at the lodge the previous year, messing about, drinking and pulling pranks. However, one prank goes wrong, leading to the disappearance of 2 sisters, Beth and Hannah. These 2 characters are not part of the 8 characters you control throughout the core of the game, but they are important to the plot nonetheless. A year later, Josh, the brother of the 2 sisters, invites the friends to a meetup once again. You will get to know the cast of cliché but nonetheless amusing characters. Over the course of the game you will both hate and love them. I started off hating some of them, but by the game's end was liking them. After meeting up at the lodge, things start to go sour as mysterious events unfold. These events all seem to be tropes of horror. Until Dawn will put you into situations that you will find all the subgenres of the horror genre. You will experience slasher elements straight out of something like Friday the 13th, you will experience supernatural elements, you will experience torture or Saw-esque elements, you will start to experience monster elements, and finally there is even psychological elements to Until Dawn's story. Each are enjoyable, and horror fans will appreciate similarities to how these subgenres are told. One theme though that is present throughout the game is that the characters need to survive Until Dawn. Until Dawn tries to allow players to make choices when it can. However, there are some points in the game's story where you have to question a character's motivation. For example, why do you want to go into that creepy asylum? Or yeah, sure, that spooky looking woods looks like a fun place to explore. These, however, can be again attributed to horror tropes. One aspect of the story that is slightly psychological is that at set times throughout the game you will be greeted by Dr. Hill, who goes on to question you over various horror aspects, as well as the characters and other areas of the story. Until Dawn also has a nice recap sequence at set points, or if you go away from the game and come back later, very similar to what you would see in a TV show. It makes me wonder if Until Dawn was going to be an episodic game at one point during its development. The game's story does come together towards the end as the mysteries become solved, eventually leading to the game's climax. However, the ending does depend on your choices throughout the game. You can end up with many endings, some good, some bad. It's down to you. I was satisfied with the end, although regret some of my actions during the game's story, which help add to the weight of my choices, and adds to the story of Until Dawn. The gameplay of Until Dawn tries to go for a cinematic approach, thus you are restricted to what you can actually do in certain areas. You could divide the gameplay into 3 areas. The first could be the conversational area. In these sections, characters will interact with one another. You will also have conversational options, normally reduced to 2 choices to advance the story. This aspect though can be combined with the other 2 aspects of gameplay. The second is exploration. During this time you will control one of the 8 characters as you explore various areas. During these sections you will rarely be in any danger, so you can take your time to explore, solve puzzles and discover clues to the mysteries of Blackwood Pines. As you look around, items of interest will be highlighted, so keep your eye out. Also, during the exploration sections you will come across totems, a type of collectible and game aid. These totems, depending on their type, give clues to how to best survive the night, or if you're feeling malicious, then to kill off the 8 characters. Despite being a game aid, the totems are very vague, so you can't rely on them solely. The final aspect of gameplay is the action sequences. During these, characters will be put into sequences where you do not have direct control over them. Instead, scenes play out with QuickTime events, as well as scripted choice sections, like shooting a weapon. These sections can lead to characters' deaths. All of these gameplay aspects will sometimes spill into one another. For example, while exploring you will converse with another character, or while running away for your life during an action sequence you will stumble across a quick exploration area. All throughout the game you can either play with or without motion controls. I played with motion controls as I found it added to the tension of the game. It also made looking around while exploring smoother for once. However, it also led to some frustrating moments too. Regardless of if you choose to use motion controls or not, there are some elements of Until Dawn that force you to use light aspects of motion control, like not moving the controller or using the touchpad. The game has a strict autosave function to prevent players from reloading and forcing you to live with your decisions. For my first playthrough of Until Dawn, it lasted between 8 and 10 hours. But the game seems to have an emphasis on multiple playthroughs, as your choices can lead you down various paths, resulting in different deaths, different outcomes, and so on. Until Dawn does not have multiplayer, although it's always good to watch another player's playthrough to see what their results were. The presentation of Until Dawn is a homage to horror films. From the locations, character designs, to the sound effects, all show that the people who made this understood what horror is about, as well as giving a nod to horror movies of the past. Built in the Killzone Shadowfall engine, Until Dawn looks very pleasing to the eye. Character models are decent enough and in some areas look almost photorealistic. This however is only in some areas. Sometimes the character models in general have slightly odd teeth and the odd hairstyle. Despite this downside, the motion capture for the characters in the game are outstanding, moving realistically as they traverse areas and even when they talk. Locations are dripping with atmosphere, from the snow-covered lodge that reminds me of The Shining to the caves and mines you explore, all of which is caped in darkness with very little light. As the characters move around they will normally have some sort of light source that builds tension as it creates shadows that can mislead you to think something or someone is nearby. The game is very dark, but at the same time it's not so dark that it's annoying. White snow, for example, is quite the contrast against the dark environments. Okay, while you're in the mines, things are generally dark and light sources are really needed. Despite this though, it doesn't take away from the game, but again adds another layer of atmosphere. Also, in keeping with the horror genre, the death scenes are very visceral and very gruesome at times. The sound design and soundtrack deserve praise too, from simple sound effects like crunching through snow to dramatic and tense action scenes. All of it is handled with a sense of care that helps draw you further into Until Dawn's story. Both the sound effects and soundtrack play an important role, making scenes tense or not. And Until Dawn is a great example of how this can be achieved. Being a horror fan, I could talk for ages about the art design and story of Until Dawn, especially where influences have come from. From Halloween to Alien, from Evil Dead to Scream. Until Dawn has clearly been influenced by a lot of previous works of horror. Is that a bad thing though? Well, no, not really. It's a game that tries to merge a lot of what these works of horror brought us. And at one point the game felt like we had a slasher, supernatural and psychological horror situation all going on at once, which added to the game's mysteries. Now an important question, is the game scary? Well, that's down to the player. I personally loved the dark and tense atmosphere it tried to build. I even jumped at a few of the jump scares. But I can imagine players not invested in the story or who are cynical about the game before trying it not finding Until Dawn scary at all. Overall, I enjoyed Until Dawn, although I must admit I am a horror fan and so may have a soft spot for this genre. It's easy to say that Until Dawn has cliché horror moments, but when you are put into these moments firsthand, it can still be tense and lead to scares. The characters, while dumb, are also lovable, which invested me into the game's story. If you cannot connect to even one of these 8 characters, then you will struggle to get into Until Dawn. I will say that if you stick with the game's story, you will see the characters grow in various ways, both for better and worse. But this added more layers to the characters, making them more relatable. The gameplay is lacking in some areas, but given what the game is trying to do, as in being an interactive story, I can understand why. The motion controls work well for the most part. I just wish we could move a little bit faster during the exploration sections. The presentation for the game helps draw players into the horror world even more. It has atmosphere thanks to its locations and especially its sound design. If you're a fan of the horror genre or enjoyed what Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls did, then you will find something for you with Until Dawn. Even if you enjoyed Telltale games like The Walking Dead, then you will find something enjoyable with this title. For me, even though some areas were predictable, I still had a blast, with full of mixed emotions, which makes Until Dawn special. It may not be a masterpiece, but it does give us an excellent horror experience, with plenty of nods to horror movies we have seen throughout the years. If you're at all interested in seeing what the game is like, then head on over to our Let's Play of the game. Come and see the bad choices we made, and if we're able to get any of the characters out alive. You can either click on the annotations or follow the link down below over to our Let's Play channel. Anyway, I've been Darcblade, bringing you my video review of Until Dawn. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more.
Happy to see me again, huh? Hey. I was hoping I'd run into you again. Alright. Good boy. Alright, pal. You're coming with me. Alright. Here's the plan. I happen to see a map of this place, so we're not flying blind. There should be a way through the psychiatric wing that'll take us right outside the mine. Think you can handle that? Couldn't have said it better myself. Ah, boy.